Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader, and I use the amazing Lenormand deck. Welcome to a new year. Here we are doing this again. I am so excited. We are doing our first monthly forecast for 2026, the month of January. If you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock, I really encourage you to do this now because our monthly forecasts are built on the Astro Clock, and also you want to take advantage of the insights right from the get-go. Another thing is that I recently surveyed the community again about how we should go about doing our monthly forecast, and the portraits won again by a big margin. I think it was around 68% or 63% who wanted us to keep the portraits, and about 38% who wanted something different. What I will be doing differently is I'll be using different decks. So I've been using the Silhouettes deck, which I use for the Astro Clock cards. This is my own deck for the Astro Clock triplets and the whole Astro Clock. And I've been using Titania's deck for the monthly portrait. What I will be doing moving forward is to switch around the decks a little bit and use other ones for variety. A lot of people are enjoying the other decks, so we're going to be using them as well. And my Titania deck is starting to get a little bit old. I don't know if you can tell. And I really want to save it because this deck is now out of print, and the alternative I think is even out of print, and the alternative is not so great. So just a note about our decks moving forward. So let's go ahead and start with you, Aries, for the month of January. As you can see here, we've got the 3 cards for you from the Astro Clock. And you do start the year with a bit of a challenging note because we have the whip in the cards. The advantage of this is that you get your challenge months out of the way early in the year, whereas other signs, they get them in the middle or later. It really depends. There's no judgment really. So the whip, book, and stork, this is clearly Aries, a revelation. Something comes up, there is some news or some information that comes to the surface, something is revealed. And the thing about the whip and stork is that they are active cards. The whip can be challenging, so it can be difficult news, but the stork is relieving because it's great for change and action. And so it's very clear here that you're able to break away or break out from something. It's like the news or the information liberates you. And it's also possible, Aries, that you decide to reveal something about yourself or to make an announcement. And this can ruffle some feathers, but you need to get going and you need to move forward. So yes, the whip can be challenging and it can be a difficult change or difficult news. But the good side of this is that you finally get it off the ground, get it off your shoulders, and there's a sense of relief and change. So let's put these cards aside and see what else we get about this change, what it is about the news, or what is it about exactly. It might come through in the portrait, it might not, and we'll also get some other indications and insights for your month. So let's go ahead and deal out this portrait. Okay, Aries, so here are some very beautiful cards, really nice to offset the whip, but also in really good alignment with your Astro Clock cards. We've got the news in the middle, the letter card, which mirrors the book. We have the snake, which is a card of silence, which also mirrors the book. And we have some beautiful cards here that point to the positive release and change that we suspected really with the stork. The road matches the stork really well because it's a card of movement, along with the ship, actually. So let's look into these lines. The clover is your cover card. This is great for all around luck. And it's a very bright card along with the sun. So right from the get-go, we see that there is some very positive news. So it's in contradiction a little bit with the whip and book, but really it doesn't have to be a contradiction. With Lenormand, it's really about how you put together the story. So the thing about the whip here is that it could be an aggressive change, an aggressive revelation. It could also be quite urgent and happen quickly. Another thing is that the clover as your cover card, Aries, is lovely for a sense of protection. And it does encourage you also to think positive and to approach the news or any situation that you're in this month with a sense of optimism. Don't dwell on negativity. You have a lot more going for you than you might initially think. Now, the snake with the letter and garden, this is quite an interesting triplet because the snake is a card of secrecy. And so you could be privy to some news. Maybe you're following through on an invitation or a meeting, but you're not telling too many people about it, at least not at first. Something else, though, Aries, with the snake is that the snake can be quite a deceptive card and it could be quite toxic. So you definitely want to be sure that you know what you're dealing with in terms of information, agreements, contracts, anything, that involves this communication. You definitely want to read between the lines. And you want to avoid being reactive. So take a step back, examine it carefully, and then respond with intelligence. Now, the clover with the ship and garden is very bright. And this is not just this line, but really the whole spread really tells me that the snake is not so much about deception. Yes, you always have to do your homework and be careful, even with people. But the element of discretion and secrecy is highlighted because it's further supported by the book. And the positive cards really minimize the potential negativity of the snake. Now, the clover with the ship and garden is lovely. This is very much about going places, going to a meeting, or connecting with others. It's also a really good line for expanding whatever it is you're doing. If it's about people and networking, it's a great combination for going out there. If you're in business for yourself or you work, in the marketplace somehow, these are great cards for also expansion and growing. So really nice cards. And definitely get out. We're seeing a lot of these opening cards, the stork after the book, the ship, the garden, and the road. So there is an element of getting out there. Now, the key with the letter and road is definitely getting the green light for change. Again, I'm seeing that the whip and snake are not their classical challenging meaning in this context, but they're more about the dynamics of things. The whip is aggressive and the snake is discreet. So there are some actions that you need to be swift with, and you also need to handle certain information discreetly. That's the way it's working out in this context. So definitely the green light here. You could get an acceptance, you could get the go ahead, you could get positive feedback, and whatever it is exactly for you, Aries, it does help you move forward and kick off in this journey, which is mirrored by the stork. Now, the snake with the dog and sun, this is a more cautious message because the snake next to people cards always warns you against deception. So just be careful about this. There could be certain people whom you can't really trust, or maybe you need to be discerning about who you share what with and things like that. But what's really nice is that there's the sun on the other side of the dog. So it's a very beautiful message for a very supportive relationship or success and progress, or whatever it is you're doing here is well supported by some people, or at least this person. Now, the clover key and snake, I know this could come across as a challenging combination because of the snake, but the snake and key is actually a really powerful combination for having a clear strategy, for knowing exactly what you want, and for also tapping into your sense of power and your sense of resourcefulness. You're definitely on the right track, Aries. And again, this element of discretion could be coming in. So it might be smart to be careful about how soon or with whom you share what you're doing. At some point, though, as we saw in the Astro Clock cards, you're going to kick it off and you're going to announce it and move forward. The ship with the letter and dog is great news. This person brings you news, or perhaps you're collaborating with this person. And it does T-cross the bottom row. And of course, the top row. So obviously, you're moving forward in certain connections, certain collaborations, or maybe even friendships. Maybe it's personal, and things are moving forward really brightly. There's definitely contact and communication. You're in touch with others. You're meeting with others. There's this element of being social and connected. The garden with the road and sun is beautiful. This is very much about achieving your goals and going places. There is another element of expansion here with the road and sun. And so clearly, Aries, this is a great time to remove the shackles and grow, to remove the shackles and expand, to release limitations and just put yourself out there and pursue the things that you want to pursue, connect with the people that you want to connect with. These are very, very lovely cards. There's just the snake and the whip, but like I was saying, it's really more about their dynamic and not so much this usual negative interpretation that we associate with them. It's definitely a month for action. You're going to need to strike a balance between how quickly or how swiftly you move forward. And you also want to be careful about anything related to the fine print, news, contact, communication, contracts, anything like that. And even your communications in general. And just double check people, before you move forward. Take these cautionary steps and you'll definitely be on the right track. Now, the cards, in terms of context, they don't really bring up a theme. We have people cards, we have travel cards, and we have communication cards, but all of these can happen in different contexts like work, money, love, relationships, personal, not personal, and things like that. So in terms of these areas, the cards remain quite flexible. My feeling, Aries, is that it's more on the work business side, but it could also apply in a personal context. So these are great cards for moving forward, for getting the green light. No more limitations, Aries. Just kick off and move forward. Do what it takes. Be willing to step out and expand, but remember to be discerning and calculated with this contact, this news, this communication, and certain people. So after all, a very beautiful way to kick off the year, Aries. Some very powerfully positive cards in here. Let me know what you made of it. How do you resonate with it for the beginning of the year? As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Very best of luck with it, Aries. Remember to watch your astro clock and to download your astro clock journal. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your monthly forecast. Here we are in the first month of 2026 with your January cards from your 2026 astro clock. Again, Taurus, go ahead and watch your 2026 astro clock and download your astro clock journal so that you're in tune with the year right from the get-go. So we've got your January 2026 cards, Taurus, from your astro clock. These are the key, the snake, and the anchor. And the snake is usually a challenging card. It is usually a card of deception, but it has other meanings as well. And these other meanings certainly come out with the key and anchor. With the key, it is very much a card of intelligence and really knowing what you're after. You know what you're after, you know what you want, and you know how to get it. The snake is a card of indirect pathways. It's about this roundabout approach, getting around something and being really discreet about it. So with the key, you have a really sharp understanding of what you're after, Taurus, but you want to prepare also to achieve it maybe with a bit more patience and maybe in an indirect way. Now, the thing about the anchor is that it's a very solid and strong card. It is a great card for security, for feeling strong and confident, but it is also a card of staying with things and staying in the same place, obviously, because it's unmoving. And when we see the snake and anchor together, it is often a suggestion for sticking with something, even if you're inclined not to. So it is a message of patience, and with the key, it certainly empowers you to stay the course, to be clear about what you're after, and to stick with it until you get it. So this is a very strong message, and it's quite a powerful and empowering message, Taurus. So keep in mind to be really focused on your goals and not to give up on them, because you've got what it takes to achieve them. So we're going to put these cards aside here, and we're going to draw our 9-card portrait. Let's see what else we get about these 3 and what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Taurus, here is your portrait. We have a few very bright cards. The star and sun are 2 of the brightest cards of the deck, and the tree is also quite beautiful. The rest is pretty neutral. Now, the cross is in the middle, and the cross is quite a card, Taurus. It is a card of important things, deep destiny, milestones, lessons. It has to do with the deeper things in life, and it is sometimes a card of heaviness and burden. Now, I feel this creates a good parallel with the anchor, where the snake, like we said, maybe you're inclined to leave or not wanting to stick with it, but the anchor tells you to stick with it, and the cross can create that sense of burden, like having to stick with it. So it could be a further message here. Now, the tree further supports this because it is a card of also staying. It stays in the same place, and it is a card of patience and growth. So we're seeing a pretty good parallel between this first diagonal here and the 3 cards here. It might not appear this way, but when you get into the details of the cards, you know, these layers, they start to emerge. And the star is aligned with the key because the star is a card of wish fulfillment. So you're definitely onto your higher goals, Taurus. Don't give up on them. They might need time. They might need sacrifice. You might need to make some choices and some decisions for them. But you do want to stick with them and give them time to grow. And definitely this month, you want to nurture the seeds, nurture the growth, and just stick with it. Now, the Tower with the cross and sun is another very encouraging message. The Tower has also an element of like a deeper guidance and a bit of a mystery here, where your path is sort of in the hands of the gods, as it were, and the cross adds to that spiritual dimension. And the beautiful sun at the end of the line is so lovely to see. It's a card of light and enlightenment, all around wish fulfillment and success. It's just really a broadly positive card. So you want to trust the process, Taurus. You want to trust the path. Things are definitely unfolding in the right way. And it's another parallel with the triplet here. So the star with the man and sun, this is probably the brightest line of your portrait because we've got both the sun and star together. And they're on the either side of this person. Now, who this man is, it's not something I would know really. It depends on your specific situation. But usually the man and woman cards in the Lenormand deck, which are called the significators, are important people. We don't get much about them unless we look at the related cards here, the nearby cards, and these are very bright. So clearly this is someone very supportive, very helpful. This is a great relationship, and they seem to be part of this very powerful unfolding. Now, what's interesting to me, what I want to look at right away, is the man with the cross and coffin. And so this is quite a heavier line because of the cross and coffin together. Sometimes, Taurus, the cross and coffin can refer to someone who has passed on. Now, this is a bit of a specific interpretation, but it could apply for some of you where maybe there is healing about a relationship that has gone, or there is some understanding. Of course, it is specific. It's not likely to be the case for most of you Taurians out there. The cross and coffin, though, in general, in a more frequent way, is an important ending, and things could also be on hold. And the reason I say that is because we have the tower entry on either side of the coffin. So the coffin, it can suggest a sharp ending, like it's finished, but it can also suggest a waiting time. And when we have the slower cards, like the tower entry, very ideal for this interpretation. It suggests a time where not much is happening, where things are on hold, where things are incubating, and so on. So it sounds like there's some very bright prospects with this person, but you have to go through a phase of, when not much is happening. This doesn't mean things aren't evolving. They are, but you've just got to be patient with this, Taurus. Now notice that this mirrors what we saw in the Astro Clock cards, where they suggested that you don't give up on it, that you stick with it. So we're seeing here as well. The coffin, the slowness, the heaviness, they might make you feel like you need to move on, but actually you need to be more patient. So that's a powerful message. Now, the book with the cross and garden, this points to an important meeting. It's not clear to me that you know that this meeting is going to happen. It doesn't seem to be planned because we've got the book, and the book is a card of things that are not really known. And the cross suggests it's important. So there could be a meeting sometime in the month or close to then that is going to be quite significant. And notice that it T-crosses with the garden, sun, and tree. And this is a very beautiful message because the sun is all around success and the tree is about growth and well-being. So it looks like this is going to be a really good connection. There's going to be some really good interaction here. The meeting is going to go well, or the time you spend together, whether it's a single meeting or, you know, more than that, it looks like it's going to be really, really bright. Let's back up to the earlier line here, since we're doing the T crosses. We've got the star with the book and tower. The star is another very beautiful card here. It is, like we said, card of wish fulfillment. The book and tower often points to knowledge, higher education, or more specialized skills, you know, that kind of refinement. So you could achieve some important level here, Taurus, or maybe you're getting a promotion or something is improving, like there's a higher up thing that you're pursuing, whether it's education, work, or in some other area. But the book being a card of silence and things not really being revealed, it could also be another card pointing to this element of things being on hold. And what helps this as well is the tower being a card of time. So the tower takes a bit more time, the coffin takes time, the tree takes time, the cross takes time, and the anchor as well. There's a lot of slower cards in here, but beneath the surface, there's important stuff happening, Taurus. So when we have this column, T crossing the middle row into the last column, we see some very beautiful messages and very beautiful outcomes, specifically after a time where things are being worked out, or there's like an inner process, or things are on hold and maybe on the outside not much is happening. And it's really nice to see this column on the right hand side, Taurus, because we see the bright aspects and the connection with the garden and the growth with the tree that happens after this phase. So your patience is going to pay off. Your inner work and, you know, going within and allowing this person to come around is going to pay off. Now, in terms of context, this could be personal or work related, or in relation to some other activity that's important to you in your life. And so whatever it is specifically for you, Taurus, you want to give this person time. You want to give the whole situation time. And then you'll find that there's a really good connection with really good outcomes. And to be fair, Taurus, I think there's a really good reason for this, because there are some deeper spiritual cards here and bigger cards. We have the tower, cross, star, and sun. And we also have the key. So the key, actually, all of them can be quite spiritual cards, you know, having to do with faith, the light, and the sense of destiny. And they're also all aligned with your higher goals. So you want to be patient on this. This could be a significant month in terms of how much is incubating, and maybe over the year, more of it comes out. But within this month, you can look forward to a really positive connection. And like I said, different contexts are possible here. We could be looking at work, money. Well, not so much money, I have to say, but we can always stretch the cards. The focus is on people, and in different contexts, that's what's possible. So in terms of work, you could get a good job. In terms of any other opportunity that you're pursuing, it could really materialize. In terms of a relationship, this person can come around and you can get together and have some really good times. So the bottom line is, don't give up on this. It just takes time, and it does affect some deeper aspects of your life. Let me know what you make of this, Taurus. This has more depth than I anticipated initially. Leave me a thought or two, how you resonate with this. Very best of luck. And again, be sure to watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download that Astro Clock journal. Until next time, thank you for watching, and take very good care of yourself. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your 2026 January forecast. Let's get right into this. We have your cards for January from your Astro Clock for this month. We have the Book, Fox, and Stork, and these can go pretty well. The Fox is usually a bit of a tricky card. It points to deceptive types, selfish types. It's not as toxic as the Snake, in the deck, but it can be a little bit tricky that way. It is also clever. It's very good with jobs. It's very good with getting things done. And it's also a card of being smart, diplomatic, and tactful. Now, something else that is associated with the fox is employment and jobs. Because it's very good with discipline and routine, it is associated with jobs or maybe a day-to-day activity. So when we see the book with the fox and then the stork, there could be some news or a revelation or something that opens up that moves things forward. It's also possible, Gemini, that you reveal something or you decide to not be quiet anymore about something, and that helps you move things forward. So we're going to set these aside and we're going to draw your 9-card portrait, and we're going to see what else we get about them and what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Gemini, here is your portrait, and we have quite a lot of overlap between the two. We have the fox and we have the snake, which can work with the fox, but also the book, because it's another card of silence and secrecy. And we have the lily in the middle, which is associated with your life path in general, your direction, and possibly also your career. The heart as your cover card is lovely because it points to happiness and also that you are in tune with how you feel and also with the things that make you happy, what you desire to do. So with the lily and fox, you could be in for a project or a job or some kind of activity that really aligns with you, and it can also affect your life as a whole. Something else that I think could be coming up here for you, Gemini, is maybe some lifestyle choices that will require some discipline, but that certainly align with what you want to do. So if you're thinking about making changes, which is very much the card of stork, changes, adjustments, or improving things in your lifestyle, it could be a really good time for it. Now, the snake with the lily and tower is a combination that calls for caution because the lily and tower could be dealing with people in authority, management, or something official like law, government, and things like that. And the snake really calls for a sense of calm and being strategic. And also, there is definitely some things you don't want to share, at least with some people. So we see this with the book and fox. Like I said earlier, it resonates with the snake. However, the stork here, at some point, something's going to move forward. The heart with the clouds and tower, this is an important message because it asks you to really think about what it is you want to do long term and how you want to invest yourself long term. So you want to make sure that your long-term objectives and the path that you're on now align with what you want. The clouds can bring up doubts and tension. So you could be, having feelings, certain feelings, certain questions about this, but this is definitely an opportunity to align. And your first diagonal here is very important because it tells us that you're going to adjust and you're going to find the path and the things that you want to do. The child with the lily and moon, this is a very beautiful triplet. This is a wonderful new phase. It very much aligns with the element of change. So this could be a new chapter, and you could have either an offer to do something that aligns with you. It could be a job. It could be something else, but we're definitely looking at a new phase. This line is quieter and might appear less important than it is, but when we have the lily, which is the card of life and life path, the bigger picture or the bigger view of your life comes into focus, and it's right in the center. So Gemini, this is an important phase. And this is an important new chapter. And so this could be an important turning point for you this month, which aligns really well with the beginning of the year. Now, the snake with the clover and fox, this is a tricky combination because of the snake and fox, but the clover in the middle between them really suggests that you are going to be able to take advantage of whatever challenge that comes your way, if there is one. And also, it tells us that you're very smart and strategic and you know exactly what you're going to do in order to take advantage of this change. The heart with the child and snake also emphasizes this new beginning. However, the snake points to a more cautious attitude. And also, Gemini, my feeling is that you could be having doubts yourself about this new beginning, but the stork certainly encourages you to give it a chance because it's a swifter card for change and for taking initiative. And also the heart with the child suggests that, you could be wondering if this is aligned with you because we have the snake and the clouds earlier. So again, this is is about tuning in, Gemini, to make sure that what you're heading into is aligned with you. And I think you're going to make the right assessment for yourself, Gemini. Now, the clouds with the lily and clover, this points to you thinking about what is going to be best for you in terms of your lifestyle, your career, or your life direction in general. But the clover again suggests that you have an element of protection and that you're going to make the right choice for you. Now, this column, Gemini, can be quite a turning point because we have the moon and fox. The tower with the moon and fox can mean that you, after all, decide to turn down this offer or to move away from this change. Normally, the fox and moon can suggest a job offer, and we see this in a few different possibilities or some other offer that aligns with your project. But the fox, like we said, is a card of the trickster, and because we have the snake and the clouds, and we have the fox as well in your astro clock cards, I suspect, Gemini, that you might find that this is not ideal for you. Another thing that is very likely happening here is that you have options and you have choices, and so there could be an opportunity for you here to choose the path that is more aligned with you. The tower is often a card of the past, and it could suggest a long term. It can also refer to certain organizations or environments that you are connected with. And I have to wonder, Gemini, if it's possible for you that you move on from a certain environment or a job or some kind of project or activity that you were engaged in and move on to something different, move on to something new. Again, we have the child. So it looks like you are at the juncture of change and that you have opportunities. You have to assess the situation carefully, Gemini. There could be several factors at play here. Have different options. There can be different factors at play. And also, there is the factor that maybe you yourself, Gemini, you're not really too sure what would be the best course of action for you. Now, again, the clover supports you and it suggests that you're going to make the right choice. It is clear, Gemini, that you are in a position to make a choice and you're hesitating a little bit about which one is the right choice. I want to suggest, Gemini, that you take a bit more time, that you think about this, you think things through, and that you consider what really makes you happy, what really aligns with your long-term goals. I also want to suggest that you avoid taking any rash behavior. Yes, change is ahead, but thought and planning and being strategic about it is important. Now, this could apply for work, it could apply for your activity in general or other areas of your life. I'm not really seeing that this is focused on personal relationships. The heart in here is more about you, how you feel about your work, your activity, your involvements, and it's not so much about people. So this could be a bit of a slower month where you take time to assess your options and decide what is the best way forward. Again, think about what you want to do, what you love, and remember that there's protection around you and that you are on the right track. Just take a bit of time and see which choice works out for you. Let me know what you make of this, Gemini. Certainly a bit slower for the beginning of the year. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Very best of luck with the month. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your January 2026 forecast. Again, if you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock, go ahead and do that and download your Astro Clock journal. So we've got your 3 cards for January from your Astro Clock, and these are looking pretty good to kick off the year. We've got the Garden, the Lily, and the Key. It's really the Key that turns this into a positive line. The Key is a card of success, of problem solving. It's also a card of intelligence and resourcefulness. So obviously it unlocks and opens opportunities. And we've got the Garden and Lily here. The combination here, these 2 cards can point to a couple of different things. It really depends on you. But the Garden generally is about community or a certain society or some kind of environment that you're part of. It's a social card. It suggests that you go out and network and, be with people, go to events and things like that. And the Lily can mean a couple of things. It can either suggest a professional environment or an environment that supports your day-to-day activity or your involvements. And it can also point to health environments where maybe it's more relaxing or, there's a sense of wellness situation kind of thing. So with the Key, it's pretty clear that this environment is going to support you and it's going to give you answers. So it is a sign for you to go out and be with people to see what you get out of this environment. So we're going to put these 3 cards aside and we're going to draw the portrait. and see what else we get about them and what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Cancer, here is your portrait. And as you can see, we've got the lovely star right in the center of your portrait. This is lovely for all around wish fulfillment. And really, even if we had challenging cards around, we don't really have challenging cards around, the star would help overcome them because it's so central. So we've got a couple of further suggestions that it could be about your professional or some kind of activity, focused on your work or, whatever it is you're involved with on a more day-to-day basis. And that's mainly the fox, but we also have the tower and the rest of the cards. We're not seeing things like romance or personal relationships and cards like that. So it seems to be focused on your activity. Now, the tower as your cover card suggests that you want to focus on the long-term view. And this actually works well with the lily because the lily is a card of life path and career, your general direction, whether it's work related or not. And so the tower really asks you to focus on this long-term view. And it could also bring up the past, but with the star and rider, it's very clear that you either move on from the past or you put yourself on the right path over the long term. So it's really important to keep that view. And this translates into the idea that what you do this month is not just limited to this month, Cancer, but it affects beyond this month. So keep focused on the year, and possibly beyond. Definitely on the right track. And also the rider here is a card of news, someone helpful or someone who delivers some kind of information. And it looks like it's very much aligned with your goals and it answers a wish. The bird and rider here also suggest news. So when we look at the tree, bird, and rider, it's either that you need to wait on the news a little bit, but it certainly comes through, or that you want to wait for the right time to communicate, get in touch, and reach out. This also aligns with the garden, which is the card of people and community. So again, we're seeing the need to communicate, to reach out, and to be in touch with others. And this is going to be part of what helps you grow. So the tree with the star and anchor is very beautiful. This is definitely a positive conclusion, achieving what you want, achieving your goals. The thing about the tree is that it's a little bit slower. So is the lily, so is the mountain, so is the tower, and so is the bear and anchor. So there's a lot of slower cards. So there's no need to rush, Cancer. Things are unfolding in the right way. And also there is a strength from being passive, shall I say, or, like just being in that attraction kind of mode where you allow things to come to you, and they do. And, we see some very, very bright outcomes here. So you're definitely on the right track. You're going to achieve your goals. The tower with the fox and anchor is also lovely. Well, it's not lovely as such, but it's supportive. It is definitely advice for you to stick with the current path. And it is advice for you to connect with people who could help you move forward or follow through. The fox can be a trickster card. I'm pretty sure you know this by now, but it is also a card that represents people like accountants, tax accountants, people at the bank, people who give you service. And so you could have here some kind of official with the tower, maybe a government employee or people like that, who supports you with your work. So you want to reach out to this person. You want to make sure they've got what they need from you in order to be able to help you. And we see here that there's a very good outcome. Could take a bit of patience, a bit of calm and waiting for these people to come around, but there's certainly a really good conclusion and a really good end game here. Now, the fox can also be a card of jobs, and it's certainly the case with the tower. So if this is about your work or your job, your employment, Cancer, stick with what you're doing and be patient, okay? Things are working out. In terms of other activity, also stick with the long view. Again, remember your tower, it's the long view, and your lily as well. The mountain with the star and a bear, this is great for empowerment, really. The mountain can be a place that's in another location, abroad or a different city, a different place. It can also be online, but the star and bear suggest that you get some really good answers and support from that place. So you could be expanding, maybe through the garden as well. Maybe you're looking at other environments, other communities that could bring you answers or support you in your growth. That's one way to look at it. And as you know, the mountain is often considered an obstacle. So with the star and bear, you're definitely able to overcome this. When I look at the tower, mountain, and tree, we see some pretty slow and unmoving cards here. So it could have felt, Cancer, that things were really not moving, not going anywhere. And this month we see that there's progress. It's not very fast, it's not very quick, it's not swift or sudden, and it doesn't have to be, but there's definitely progress. So this could be also part of what's going on here. Now we saw the tree, bird, and rider. Again, news is coming your way. Just chill, Cancer, use that passive attraction kind of mode, and it will come to you. And these are also great cards for learning, for growing, for seeking skills, and seeking learning some things. So these are also supportive for growth. Like we just saw, the tower, mountain, and tree, these are pretty slow cards, and you could have been on this for some time, Cancer, but again, things work out. Another way we could look at this line is that it could be referring to a place from the past, a past location, a past involvement, and there could be something positive growing out of this. The fox with the star and bird is lovely. Again, this very positive news, great for your activity. We see how these cards connect here through these three lines. Very good news. Just wait on this. Be patient for the procedure or the process to work out, and you'll be on your way. And the anchor with the bear and rider, these are also great for steps and progress. And I have to say, Cancer, these are potentially some big steps. Because the bear is everything big and important, it tends to aggrandize things. So when we have the rider and on top of that, the anchor that supports it, you could be in for a major step. So it's quite interesting because your portrait is a little bit muted, like it's kind of everyday stuff, but when you dig into the cards, there could be some major steps that you're working through, and that's probably all the more reason, Cancer, why you don't want to rush anything. Let me straighten this out. Be patient for it to come through. It's working out. Be patient for the pieces to fall into place, and once they do, you could take a big step. Again, we're not seeing these rushed cards, but there's a lot of weight to the cards. And notice almost all of them are here. The lily, tower, mountain, tree, bear, potentially anchor, are all these strong, solid cards, that have to do with the slower pace. And a few of them have to do with the bigger picture, like the bear, tower, and lily, and potentially tree. So this is an important month for you, Cancer. I have to say, it might not feel this way, to be fair, but there's some big stuff that could happen. So again, just be patient and see that it comes around. In terms of work, we could be looking at a promotion. In terms of other activity, you could be making a bigger step, improving, getting empowered. You could be looking at locations to live in or places to expand into. And you certainly want to be there for these people or these supportive people of influence who could, bring you the news or deliver that push, because we are definitely seeing this in your cards. So a really nice way to kick off the year, a bit slower. Let me know what you make of this, Cancer. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Very best of luck with the month, and remember to look at your 2026 Astro Clock and download your Astro Clock journal. Thank you again, and until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Leo. Welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I'm delighted to be starting this with you again, and I hope you've watched your 2026 Astro Clock and downloaded your Astro Clock journal. So we've got your January cards from your Astro Clock, and these are the House, the Mountain, and Woman. These are pretty neutral cards. They suggest someone who is abroad in another location or just somewhere farther from where you are. It could represent your family or some friends or some other connection like that. And that's because the house is typically associated with home and family, and the mountain is that card that represents a place abroad. And the woman represents this person. So you could be in touch with this person. You could also visit, she can visit, and things like that. In another sense, the mountain can represent online things or online connections through that distance. That is possible as well. So like I said, the cards are pretty neutral. They don't tell us if this is good or bad or challenging or easy. We don't see anything about this. And also it could apply in other contexts. So instead of the house representing home and family, it could represent an office, for example, like an office that you connect with in another location or some other sort of connection. That is flexible. So we're going to put these cards aside, and we are going to draw the portrait cards and see what else we get about these three and other messages for your month. Okay, Leo, here is your portrait, and it's looking pretty exciting. We have the bear in the center, which is a card of power and strength. And we have the garden at the top, which is a card of people, places, and connecting with others. So it works really well with the Astro Clock cards. We have the fish, which is the card of money. So this could suggest that your focus is on work, money, business, or some kind of projects. So the garden with the bear and book, it can mean that you discover some important people, or perhaps there are some projects that you are pursuing that are in the works. The thing about the bear is that it is a card of strength. So you want to take this step, and you want to put your stuff out there, and you want to reach out to see if there's going to be some feedback or some opportunity here with what you're pursuing. Now, the thing about the book is that it tends to be a card of the unknown. So possibly within the month, you don't get the feedback or you don't get the progress that you set out to do, but things are in the works. Another thing about the book is that it can represent anything related to reading, writing, teaching, researching, and all of these areas. And by extension, it could be about creativity. Now, the cross with the bear and dog suggests someone important who could be supportive. Again, we're seeing these people cards like the woman and dog and the garden. The thing about the cross is that it makes everything important, and it can make things a bit heavy because it is a card of burden. But with the bear, there is definitely something pretty important. And this dog here can represent this person, this friend, but it could also represent you, Leo, in the sense that the bear is a senior card and the dog is a junior card. So if you're looking to get a promotion or to improve your status or to get some kind of step up in any circumstance in your life, this is what the cards could be capturing. So it's going to be important for you, Leo, to tap into people who are supportive, who are decision makers, who have influence, and who can give you the support. Now, the garden with the child and dog clearly points to new relationships, new connections, a new environment. And this could connect with the book because the book is the card of the unknown. So by extension, we could be looking at something new. So it's another key message here to reach out, to be in touch, and to open up to these opportunities, Leo. The rider with the bear and tree. These are nice cards for growth, really nice cards for growth. Both the bear and tree suggest growth. The bear is that card of strength, and the tree is much more passive than the bear, but it is also about growth, and it's so solid and it's deeply rooted. So with the rider, there's definitely progress and growth that we're seeing for you. The cross with the fish and book, you could be in for a job offer, a work offer, a business offer, some kind of collaboration. There could also be some important elements at play here with regards to your money and finances. The book is really good with budgeting when it comes to money, planning, tax accounting, all these details. And with the cross here, it's definitely a sign for you, Leo, to focus on the details and to pay attention to your financial picture. And like I said, this could be a job offer, it could be a new source of income, and it could be these details that you want to look at. The garden with the rider and cross is another message pointing to an important meeting, important people, some progress here that you need to be pursuing through connecting with others. The rider is a messenger card. It's also a helpful person. So they could come with some important news or at least some clues for you to move forward. So again, Leo, we're seeing the need to be with others, to connect with others in order to move forward. Now, here's a really nice line. We have the child with the book and fish, and this can point to a really important work offer. It could be a source of income, and it could also be a source of wealth. outright, because the bear makes everything big and important. It's often associated with the millionaire kind of character or situation. And with the child, we see that there's a new source of income. So when we tie these lines together, we see that this new environment or connecting with others is very much a pathway to a new opportunity that could be good for you financially. Whether this is a straight up job or not, I mean, you could be making money in all sorts of different ways. The dog with the tree and book is definitely a combination for growing in knowledge and learning and acquiring these skills. So we saw this earlier with this idea of the senior-junior connection through the bear and dog, Leo. So you definitely want to be open to learning. You want to be open to new skills, to these opportunities, and be willing to grow in the process, because this is going to be part of your improved status, your improved finances, your overall, step up in life in general. So even though these cards look a bit quiet, let me straighten this out. They look a bit quiet, Leo. They're actually quite powerful. This could be an important new beginning. It could be a serious source of income, a serious source of improvement, even if it's not straight up money. And these people or this environment could be quite a big deal, really, affording you this opportunity. So this is a great time, Leo, to put yourself out there, to reach out. They're not very fast cards. We're not seeing that rush or these speedy kind of energies, but they're important. They go deep, and they could really put you on a course of growth and success. It could be job related, or maybe your activity in general. It could also be finances, even outside the job. And it could be people in general, that are helpful people that you draw into your life. So a lovely set of cards. I certainly hope you resonate with it. Leo, let me know what you made of them. Let me know how it played out for you, who these people were, and what they contributed to you. Hopefully, as always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. So very best of luck with the month. And again, watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your journal so that you get tuned into the year right from the get-go. Thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I'm so delighted to be doing this. And again, if you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock, Virgo, this is definitely the right time to do it, and download your Astro Clock journal so that you're aligned with the year from the get-go. So welcome again to January. We've got your 3 cards from your Astro Clock, and these are pretty neutral, Virgo. We have the book, man, and moon. The moon tends to be on the positive side, though. It's a gentle, kind card. Now, the book and moon often suggest an offer, and with the man, it could be this person who extends the invitation, or perhaps you are inviting this person. But also what could be happening here, Virgo, is that we're looking at some kind of attraction, or like a connection that is growing slowly, but in a nice way. So who this man is, in what context, this is flexible just from these 3 cards, obviously. So we're gonna set them aside, and we're gonna draw your 9-card portrait and see what else we get about these 3. And what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Virgo, look at this lovely portrait. We've got the fish in the middle, which focuses on money and probably work and jobs and business. And we have lots of very bright cards around here, especially the key, the clover, and also the house. The cloud is a little bit challenging, but it's not a huge deal, especially since we have other bright cards. Now, the house as your cover card can suggest the idea that you are you're strong where you are. You are also in a secure kind of situation. It can also highlight home and family, but because of the fish and these work cards, it can also represent your team, or perhaps your business, or some kind of activity that you do that brings you fulfillment, or it brings you even income. Now, with the fish and fox, this is standardly a combination for a job, and a good one, a job with a good financial element. So you could be in for a new job or an offer, as we saw with the Astro Clock cards, or you could be looking at an opportunity of sorts with your work or something else that you're doing. The ring with the fish and stork is very much about income, It could be also investments, and it could be the job itself. And with the stork, we see that there's activity and opportunities and things moving forward. So these are great cards, Virgo, for your money, for your finances, and also for any activity, whether it's work or something else that delivers this kind of income. The fish is typically about material success, but it could also broaden up and suggest an overall sense of prosperity and abundance. So this is a lovely message. Now, the house with the key and stork, this is an ideal combination for buying, selling, property investments, and things like that. So maybe this is what's figuring for you, Virgo. Otherwise, the key and house is very much about opening up, unlocking an opportunity, and we see this lovely stork here with the key that delivers change and opportunity and this activity that moves things forward. The bear with the fish and clover, these are lovely for money, lovely for wealth and abundance, and they bring all around prosperity, and it's a very lucky, very beautiful set of 3 cards. So hopefully, Virgo, this materializes for you and you have more income coming or more opportunities down the line to make more money, and also you feel an overall sense of prosperity in your life. And even if it's not material, it's a lovely, lovely message here. They could call for empowerment. You want to step up to this, Virgo. You want to seize the opportunity. And also, you want to have faith in yourself. You want to have faith in your ability to attract this kind of prosperity. The ring, clouds, and fox, this would be the more challenging line of your portrait. And again, it's not super challenging. The clouds is just a little bit difficult. It's typically a card of confusion and some tension, usually of the mental kind. Psychological. With the ring and fox, you could be wondering about how you feel about your current work or your current activity, your current engagements. You could be reconsidering certain things or looking at adjustments. You could also be dealing with some difficult types. The fox and ring can bring up people, and the fox itself warns against selfish, self-interested types, and the clouds can aggravate that a little bit or bring it out more. So with the ring, clouds, and fox, it's a good idea, Virgo, to focus on certain relationships, to assess them, and to make sure that they're aligned with your goals, your prosperity, and your ambitions. Not everyone supports people's ambitions. Not everyone supports where you want to go. So this could come through this month, especially as you get this empowering opportunity. People can show their colors when things happen. So it's not very dramatic. I don't want to make it sound like that. It's not very dramatic, but you can become more aware of such types, and it might cause you to rethink certain things. At the same time, Virgo, I'm not seeing any action against this. So it sounds like this is more happening in your mind. Your focus is really to take advantage of these opportunities to grow and to open up to prosperity, and not really worry so much about people who are naysayers or envious and those sorts of people. The house with the bear and ring, this, on the other hand, is a very bright combination for relationships, especially supportive, empowering relationships. The bear and house can actually represent parents, and with the ring, they could be in focus, perhaps, in this situation as well. Maybe they're part of the wealth, the abundance. They could be part of the support. They could also be supportive of what you're doing in your activities. And also, it can represent other relationships, like people at work, managers, or other individuals who have influence and who can offer you this kind of support. So unlike the naysayers, you do have people who could be really supportive of your objectives. So again, focus on the good and forget about the rest. And the bear does T-cross the middle row into the right column, and we see that there's a lot of good opportunity here for your prosperity, for jobs, for income, for fruitful activity. The key and fish with the fish and clouds. Now, typically, Virgo, the fish and clouds points to expenses. Maybe you have to deal with some expenses, probably unexpected, but the key tells us that you can handle this and you can manage it well. So just focus on that, and to make sure that things are under control when it comes to how you spend. In another sense, if we're looking at an offer or an opportunity, or these, some kind of collaboration, or whatever it is that you're doing that could bring that element of prosperity, You could think a little bit about what the financial element looks like. Maybe you're in a position to negotiate a bit to your advantage. So keep this in mind. Create for yourself elbow room to really focus on the outcomes that you want to see. The stork with the clover and fox, this is lovely mainly because of the clover. The stork and clover suggest some really positive changes. I want to say, Virgo, that when the clover shows up, it is a very bright card, but it is also a card of chance. So sometimes when it shows up, things work out, but not necessarily in the way that we would have thought or hoped or, imagined. So just keep an open mind as to how things can progress and develop. And with the fox, it's great for jobs. It's great for activity. It's great for being disciplined and for pursuing the things that you're after and for making this opportunity happen. If the fox is about people, like we said, it can be, or, these tricky situations, tricky folks, you have a lot of protection against them. So that's what I saw from the get-go. Your focus, Virgo, is not the naysayers. There could be some naysayers, but they're like on the outside. Okay, you focus on your good, on your empowerment, on making things happen. And these naysayers, just sort of forget them. So the man that we saw in the Astro Clock cards, probably the person aligned with these lines here. Right? This relationship and this one, and it sounds like it's the person who delivers this opportunity, or maybe the collaborator or whoever he is specifically in your situation. But on the outside, there could be some people who are not particularly supportive. That's a possibility, of course. We suggested that the bottom row can also mean your reflection around your activity or the kind of work that you do or what you're going to be investing yourself in. But overall, Virgo, these are lovely cards, very beautiful for prosperity, for business opportunities, for all sorts of opportunities, actually. And it looks like you're going to work on them and move ahead with them. And for some of you, maybe you're dealing with things like property, other sorts of assets, investments, and things like that. And they look really, really bright. I would just say, no matter what situation, you want to do your due diligence at all times, Virgo. The book and the clouds, they can focus on these details, on the fine print, or what's between the lines and things like that. So just make this a beautiful month. Don't skip on the details. Don't take shortcuts. Make it empowering as it has the potential to be. And you don't want these little things to get in your way. So do your homework, do the groundwork so that everything else is nice and abundant and you don't have to worry about any shortcuts you might have taken. Let me know what you make of these beautiful cards, Virgo. I certainly hope you resonate with them in this way. And again, do watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your journal so that you align with the year from the get-go. Thank you for tuning in. Very best of luck. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hi Libra, welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I'm delighted to be starting this cycle with you. If you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock again, go ahead and watch it and download your Astro Clock journal. So here we are in January, Libra. We have your January cards from your Astro Clock, and you start off with quite a change. We have the Scythe and House. Typically, Libra, this points to a house change. So it could be as radical as a move. And the house usually represents your home, where you live, home and family, but it can represent other spaces in your life. So you could be looking at changes in there as well. Now, the moon earlier is a gentle card, so it can soften the edge of the scythe a little bit. It is also a great card for a sense of happiness and well-being, and you could be in for an invitation or an offer, and this could be part of what leads to the changes here. Now, if you're not making a move or, something as big as this, you could be making other sorts of changes, like you could be decluttering, renovating, streamlining your work, your process, your situation in general. And to be fair, since we get these in the cards, it's also good advice to do this, Libra. So let's put these cards aside. We are going to put them to the side here, and we're going to draw your portrait cards. We're going to see what else we get for your month, and what other messages we get about these three cards. Okay, Libra, here is your portrait. It's generally very beautiful. We have the lovely tree, the lovely sun, and the key. These are all very bright cards. And the rest of the cards are very supportive as well. I have to say the child is also very positive in its own right. And notice that we have the man and woman together with the heart. This clearly points to a relationship. So the house in the Astro Clock cards can be pointing to a more intimate relationship. But I have to say the scythe is kind of interesting here in view of the portrait cards. We do have the road, which points to change with the child. So we do see a potential here for change. So let's go ahead and get into the lines here. We have the tree, man, and key. The tree is your cover card, Libra, and this is a really nice card for being centered, for being strong and solid, and it resonates really well with the house. Now, the man and key is lovely for bringing solutions, bringing answers. And the thing about the tree here is that you want to wait for it to come to you because the tree has a more passive, stable energy. So it's not about rushing. It's not about doing so much. It really has that calm strength. So when you're in that space, you could attract a lot of good to you. Now, the man and key is lovely for a supportive person, someone who brings answers, someone who brings solutions. And so it's very clear that this relationship is going to be very supportive and very helpful. The road with the man and letter. This is the line that mostly resonates with the Astro Clock cards. We have the moon and letter, which can point to some kind of offer or some kind of communication. And the road is very much about changes along with the scythe. So this man comes with a proposal or with some news, and it sounds like it kicks things forward. It moves things forward. So you move from this state of being, in a waiting phase or stable to these exciting changes and communications. We see this very well here. The tree with the sun and letter is all around beautiful news, all around wish fulfillment. It's very clear, Libra, that this message and this communication or the interaction is very positive and it aligns with what you want. The woman with the man and heart is lovely for a connection. This is a supportive relationship. Whoever these two people are, whichever one of them you are, they can represent any two people. The heart is lovely for feelings, for love potentially, and for a very good connection. Very warm cards. The road with the child and key. This is a beautiful message for moving into a new direction. So very well aligned with the Astro Clock cards, Libra. And it's really nice to see it in the beginning of the year where you're kicking off with this new chapter and this new direction. The key is certainly encouraging because it's a card of strength, solutions, intelligence. It's very much a sign of being on the right track. So it's an encouragement for you, Libra, to go ahead and make these changes, embrace this news, embrace the opportunity, and move forward with it. The tree with the woman and road, very supportive as well. This is a steady combination of cards here pointing to being on the right track, being in this space where things feel aligned and, you're working towards your goals and you're heading into this direction. And it's also a good combination for moving with this relationship, not just your objectives or this new beginning that's coming with it. The sun with the man and child. Here's another confirmation of this man being supportive, whoever he is, she is, in your context. The child is great for this new beginning. The sun is lovely, shining its light all over. And, these cards, they T-cross, through the top and middle and bottom. And it's clear that this news leads to this wonderful new beginning and that this person is either the bearer of the news or somehow involved with it, but very, very supportive. The letter with the heart and key, another very beautiful message all around. Wonderful news, wishes materializing, or the news that you're hoping to hear is very much coming through. So really, Libra, these are very clear cards and very positive across the board. They bring into focus a relationship, a new beginning, positive changes, a sense of well-being, a sense of being aligned. Like all of it is on there. And the thing about the Astro Clock cards is that they're a bit more on the neutral side, and but they still carry that element of change. It's just we don't see the brightness of the change as we do in the portrait cards. Obviously, there's more cards. Now, these cards apply in all contexts as well. I feel there's more a personal thing going on here. We have the moon, the house, the heart, the sun, the man and woman together. And we don't have so much of the other work-related cards, money, business, and stuff. Now, of course, we can interpret the cards for any context and we can adapt them. So in relationships, it's looking great for a new relationship or a renewal in a relationship. I would say in the context of personal relationships, Libra, these Astro Clock cards, I feel they can invite you to embrace change. So when you get that opportunity to move into this new relationship, experience it, go for it. In terms of other contexts like work, they're great. You could be looking at positive collaboration, whether it's a job or not, really. You know, you could be doing interesting things together. In terms of money, we're not really seeing the money cards, but it's still a lovely message for prosperity and certainly support. So just these three areas, just by way of example, you see how the cards materialize into very beautiful energies. I would say focus on relationships, give attention to this person, be willing to embrace change, and move forward, like take action as soon as you're able to. So lovely cards to start off. Let me know what you make of them, Libra. I look forward to your thoughts, your comments as always. And remember to watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your Astro Clock journal. Very best of luck with the month. Thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to your January 2026 reading. I'm delighted to be starting this cycle with you. If you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock again, Scorpio, go have a look and download your Astro Clock journal. So welcome to January. We've got your January cards. We've got the Clover, House, and Road. Now, these are some pretty bright cards, Scorpio, specifically because of the Clover. The Clover is one of the luckiest cards. Now, the House and Road points to a home change. Normally, it can be something as big as a move. You could also be making other sorts of changes, like you could be renovating, decluttering, or improving and doing such things. And also, Scorpio, the House doesn't have to just represent your home or your home base and family, but it could also represent other spaces in your life. And so here, the suggestion is that it's a good idea to make changes. It's also a message to get out of the house a little bit, to go out and do things and to just, get yourself out a little bit from this space. So we're going to set these cards aside and we're going to draw your portrait cards. We're going to see what else we get about these three and what other messages we get for your month. Scorpio, here is your portrait and it's looking quite strong. We have a much stronger emphasis on the idea of an ending and a beginning, and therefore the changes that we saw in your Astro Clock cards. We also have the beautiful star, which is one of the wish fulfillment cards of the deck, and the Clover mirrors it quite well. So let's get into your portrait here. The coffin is right in the middle. That's an ending, and we have it with the child. And this is by itself a very clear message of an ending and a new beginning. At the top here, Scorpio, we have the mouse. The mouse is a little bit challenging. When it comes on your cover card, when it figures here, it points to the idea of being careful and attentive to detail. So the mouse is a little bit negative. It can point to issues and challenges, but also as your cover card, it gives you the advice. It emphasizes the advice that you want to focus on the details. So the idea of the mouse with the coffin, though, and child, it can mean that things are sort of tapering off and you could be losing interest. You could be getting bored or getting tired of a certain situation, and this leads you to move into a new beginning. At the same time, it's always a good idea, Scorpio, to pay attention to the details of whatever changes you're going through right now. Now, the woman with the coffin and dog, here's the second diagonal. We have two people cards on either side of the coffin. The dog usually represents friends, peers, siblings, people like that. And the woman typically suggests someone who has quite a lot of influence on your life. So when we see these cards on either side of the coffin, they bring into focus a relationship. So someone could be going away or leaving. It can be a sharp ending in a relationship, or it could be like someone going away for some time. So you could feel like you missed them or something like that. It's also possible that the cards are advising you, Scorpio, to stay away from certain people, like take a distance or take a break and sort of protect your space. And also, as you're moving into this new beginning, you could be letting go of a certain relationship, which are part of the situation that you're moving on from. So all of this is possible. Now, the mouse, anchor, and dog, this gives us more clues about what to do with this relationship. And the anchor is a card of sticking with things. So The thing about the mouse, Scorpio, is that you're not really into them. So maybe you're not, you're losing interest, or they're a bit tiresome, or they get on your nerves. The mouse in relationships tends to represent energy vampires. It doesn't have to be super dramatic, but it can be the type of people who just tire you. Now, in this context here with these cards, we're saying that you want to be more patient with them. And also, it further suggests that this change or this ending could be temporary. But when we look at the anchor in this line, we're seeing the ending very much happening. So how can this play out? Like, it sounds like a contradiction, right? Well, you could be making changes in your life. You could be moving jobs, moving homes, making other sorts of changes, letting go of a certain situation or a certain commitment or involvement that you were in. And at the same time, you maintain good relationships with people. So you could sort of maintain a distance or reshape the relationship a little bit, bring it into a more neutral kind of space. All of these are possible, okay? But when we see the anchor with the coffin and lily, this column triplet is very clear about ending a phase in your life and moving on. You could also be ending a job or moving on from a certain career or moving on from a certain kind of state that you were in for some time. The thing about the lily is that it's a card of life path. So it tends to represent bigger areas in your life, bigger pieces of your life. So we could be looking at a significant ending, Scorpio. Now, the letter with the coffin and star, this is an interesting one because we have the beautiful star, and the star is a card of wish fulfillment. So like we said, it mirrors the clover. The thing about the letter and coffin is that you could be announcing your resignation. You could be saying bye. You could be, announcing that you're making this change and letting go. And with the star here, there's a beautiful message of wish fulfillment, and that's what you want to do. So it mirrors very much the Astro Clock cards. The road and coffin are these leaving cards, and the clover and star are this wish fulfillment card. So the house here is just adding this kind of state or situation that you're in. And of course, it can represent a space that you're moving away from. So it's probably time, Scorpio, to announce that you're moving on and making the change. The woman with the lily and child, this is a new relationship or a new phase in a relationship. And they're pretty neutral cards, but the child tends to be a bit more positive. And also we have the star in here on top of the child. So it does, again, support the brightness of this new beginning. The woman and lily can represent someone like a professional, a healthcare provider, people who are a bit more specialized, more experienced. And you could be making a new relationship here. It could be a new boss, a new collaborator, a new person in your life who is more or less significant. Definitely embrace this new beginning. Now, the mouse with the letter and woman, this can represent a couple of things. It can represent the ending. So what we're seeing is that you could be moving from a relationship into a new one. So we have this one and this one. So we have the coffin here, we have the child here. It's interesting, isn't it? So in this column, we have the letter and woman. And so this is where you could be announcing you're leaving, you're ending. And the mouse as your cover card, Scorpio, suggests that maybe you'd been hesitating or it wasn't all that easy. And the idea really is to move forward at this point. So it T crosses the middle row, and then we see that it T crosses the last column, which is a very beautiful message with the star and child. This is wish fulfillment. This is a positive relationship, positive friendship or connection, and a very beautiful new beginning. Lots of positive energy surrounds this fresh start. So we see that you will overcome the hesitation or the stuckness and move into this new beginning. You're going to do what you need to do to announce it, to act on it, to make it happen. And you'll find that you're in a very relieving situation. So these are some really powerful cards for this beginning of the year, Scorpio. Embrace the change, embrace the ending. They're happening back to back here. It's very clear. And move on from relationships that are past. They've done what they've had to do for you and you for them. And it's time for change, and embrace the new ones. Another thing Scorpio, is that these cards apply in different contexts. We're seeing like house, lily. We could be looking at your life, your lifestyle in general. We could also be looking at a job or a project or something that you've been involved in. And we could also be looking at relationships. So with relationships, usually endings tend to be a bit more emotional. Of course I can't judge, maybe not for you. But in general, we're seeing this similar dynamic across different contexts, and the key is really to let go and embrace the new beginning. So a powerful moment to start the year. Let me know what you make of this, Scorpio, how it resonated for you. Again, do watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your Astro Clock journal. Very best of luck with this new year, Scorpio. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I am delighted to be starting this cycle with you. If you didn't watch, again, your 2026 Astro Clock, go ahead and do that and download your Astro Clock journal. So welcome to January. We've got your January cards from the Astro Clock. We've got the Scythe, Tree, and Ring. And this could be quite a change, Sagittarius. The Scythe and Tree often represents an uprooting, and the lily can suggest that this has to do with a certain commitment or involvement or even a relationship. And at the same time, you could be letting go of some things and focusing on others. So this is a very good message, especially at the beginning of the year, Sagittarius, that invites you to prioritize and to really focus on the things that matter to you. So we're going to set these cards aside. We are going to then draw your portrait cards, and we're going to find out more about these three and also get other messages for your month. Okay, Sagittarius, here is your portrait, and we are seeing quite a lot of parallel with your Astro Clock cards, mainly the coffin along with these cards here. They both point to a change and an ending. We see the beautiful flowers and the beautiful star and also the tree. These are very bright cards in your portrait. So it's pretty clear from the get-go, Sagittarius, that these changes that you're making are going to be very beneficial to you. Now, what also stands out to me is the stork as your cover card. The stork is a card of action, activity, and also change itself. And to see it on your cover card suggests that you are in a position to make the change. So the idea is really that you take initiative, that you be proactive, and that you make changes. Now, the bird in the middle here, in the center of your portrait, this is a card of conversation. Usually it's a card of verbal communication, so talking and communicating, and it is very much a card of being busy and even sometimes a bit nervous and anxious. But it's another card that emphasizes being active. So when we tie these two into the star, it's clear, Sagittarius, that your activity and your initiative to ask questions, to reach out, to get in touch is going to pay off. So it sounds like you need to communicate, you need to interact, and you need to get busy to make this change materialize. And it's certainly aligned with your goals, and it's also going to create some kind of freedom and heal you. The clouds with the bird, and this is often a somewhat challenging combination. It points to a difficult conversation. It can also point to unclear communications and confused communications, and it can sometimes point to a more negative reading and suggest something like gossip or like mean things being said and things like that. I usually require a more negative cards for this, like the whip, to suggest that. But the clouds and bird can still suggest that there's a bit of tension here and that needs to be clarified. And the thing about the bird and tree is that this is a really bright combination. It's great for positive communication, and it's great for things improving and healing. So it's very clear from the get-go, Sagittarius, that in order to make these changes materialize, you need to make up your mind, you need to communicate, you need to reach out, and you need to clarify things. So get it out of your head, streamline it so that you can move forward. The stork with the flowers and tree, this is beautiful. Along with the right-hand side column, this is a very bright combination. The flowers and tree is the blooming tree. So it's flowering, it's about growing, it's the fruit. So it's all of this beautiful stuff materializing. So we do see here that you are in a position to make your goals materialize, that you're able to make things happen. And you're also able to see the progress and the tangible results of your activity. It's also a really good combination for being optimistic and for taking action. And also, I want to suggest, Sagittarius, that when you take action, let go of the outcome. Okay, so just enjoy the process as well. The coffin with the bird and lily, here's where we get into the ending and the changes. The coffin is a card of ending. In a lot of the times, it can be a card of waiting and things being on hold. But because of your very clear astro clock cards, where we have the scythe and tree and the scythe and ring, which, by the way, is precisely a divorce combination, we're seeing an ending more than anything else. The bird and lily can mean a couple of things here. Like we said, the bird being a card of communication, it could be a time where you express and communicate this ending, just like we saw in the first and second diagonal. And the bird can also bring about a sense of anxiousness and nervousness. And the lily is a card of life path. It can represent your career. It's about the bigger phases of your life. So you feel that you are ending something and moving into something that could be important. So this could be an important transition for you, Sagittarius. Nice to see it at the beginning of the year. The clouds with the mountain into the star, I really feel here that the blockage that you're experiencing are going to be overcome. So this works well with the coffin and bird. There's a bit of a parallel here where there's some anxiety about the ending, and the clouds and mountain is clearly some kind of obstacle or a blockage, maybe a psychological blockage, or you're not sure what to say or how to communicate or how to move forward. But we see the star telling us here that you overcome this. So you're going to throw this behind you and you're going to end up in a space of healing and openness. So really nice cards. Here's another suggestion for an ending. The stork and coffin represent an ending, and the stork, being your cover card, encourages you to take a step, to take initiative to make this ending happen. Now again, the clouds, it could be a card of confusion, tension, stress. This is not the easiest of transitions, Sagittarius, but you definitely want to move ahead and make this change happen. The flowers with the bird and mountain, this is brighter because of the flowers. You're going to overcome your nervousness and anxiety and be able to communicate in order to overcome the blockages. Something else that I want to add, Sagittarius, is that the mountain can represent a location abroad or in another place, or maybe there's some distance here. So there could be another location that is involved in your changes. And with the bird and flowers here, you could be in positive communication with that place. The tree with the lily and star, this is very beautiful. Like I said, it's one of two very bright lines in your portrait. This is where you find yourself in a new situation that is stable and aligned with your goals. It's very peaceful. There's a lot of well-being. There's a sense of health and happiness and just really a sense of comfort in your path. So these changes are quite key in order to land you in a new space of routine that is aligned with your goals, a sense of fulfillment. So you definitely want to get the negative stuff out of the way. The changes that you need to make need to happen, and this is going to give way for finding yourself in a space of strength, a space of well-being overall. And in terms of context, Sagittarius, these cards can play out in different contexts. It could be any sort of change that you're making here, and it could be a change that affects your life as a whole. We're not really seeing theme cards like work, money, business, home, family, relationships. We're not seeing these specific themed cards. We're seeing a dynamic. The lily is sometimes a card of career, but it is broader than that. So we don't have any of the other cards that would bring out this theme. And the element of health could be suggested by the tree, lily, and coffin. We have the tree twice. So this element of well-being is emphasized, if anything. But like I said, the dynamics are great and positive, and the key message is to get some things out of the way in order to find yourself in that beautiful space. Take initiative to do that. It's like you have to lift it off, get it off the ground, and move on and move past it. That's on you, it looks like, Sagittarius. So make the effort and it's going to pay off. Let me know what you make of this lovely message. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and comments. Again, Sagittarius, do watch your 2026 astro clock and download your journal so that you can align with the year from the get-go. Very best of luck. Thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your 2026 January forecast. I am delighted to be starting this cycle with you. And if you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock, then be sure to watch it and download your Astro Clock journal so that you align with the year from the get-go. So here we are in January. How exciting. Let us get into your cards. We've got here the 3 cards for January from your astro clock, and these are quite bright, Capricorn, mainly because of the key. It's a powerfully positive card. The heart is also lovely, and the garden can be lovely in its own right. So what are we seeing here? The garden being a card of community, people, places, the outdoors, the public. It's a great message for you to tap into your network, to get out and be with people, to enjoy connection. And the key and heart is lovely for, first of all, unlocking a heart. So maybe you can meet someone, or maybe you have a good connection with someone. And more broadly speaking, this is a lovely card combination for unlocking opportunity and doing things that make you happy. The key is also great for getting answers, for breaking into a certain space. So you could expand your presence, your involvement, you could broaden your network, and you could get the feedback and the support that you need. So these are really nice cards in any context, I would say. We're going to put them to the side, and we're going to draw the 9-card portrait, and we're going to see what else we get about these 3 and what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Capricorn, here is your portrait. And I know you're going to say, oh no, the whip, what is that? Well, the whip is a challenging card, yes, but it's on your cover card. So the cover card is the first card of the portrait, and it usually tells us how you should approach the situation. So it characterizes you, it empowers you, and it gives you advice. The whip as your cover card is an encouragement for being more aggressive and more active. So you really want to kick yourself into this activity. And then it's tempered by the tree and a couple of other cards and other combinations. So once you just push yourself into doing things, and what we see here, into reaching out and getting involved with people, you'll find that you settle into a nicer kind of space. So the whip with the tree and lily is lovely, first, to temper your energy, and second, to bring you into a space of calm after you put in the effort. The lily is a card of life path and career. So it can be something about your job or your work, but it doesn't have to be. It's also a card of life and lifestyle. And the tree brings an element of health. So together they suggest an element of well-being. This is definitely a good idea, Capricorn, for you to do healthy things. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's pushing yourself a little bit more into doing healthier things, being more active. You might also want to go out and spend time with yourself, like with the garden. You might want to explore different ways of doing things that could create well-being. It's also a good time to take it easy and to kick back, because it sounds like you could be a little bit stressed. So this is where, this outdoors and, doing something a bit different comes into the picture. Now, the rider with the tree and ring is lovely for relationships. We have the ring, which is a card of connections and usually one-on-one relationships. But it's also a card that suggests your involvements, your commitments, or, what you do continuously. And the rider is great as a messenger, as someone helpful, and it could be good news, and it could also be progress. So again, we're seeing an active element despite the tree in the middle. And these cards resonate well with the garden and key, and it sounds like you're going to get answers from certain connections. Because of the tree, it sounds like you need to nurture these connections a little bit, or maybe be a bit patient for them to come through. But this is definitely a focus on building the connections and building your involvements and your commitments, and also being active about it in a not rushed way. Now, the whip with the anchor and ring, this is actually a nice combination because of the order of the cards, mainly because of the order. So the whip can be a difficult card when it comes to connections or relationships, but the anchor is a card of stability and strength and security. So it tells us that despite any challenges, you are going to maintain your relationships. And also, Capricorn, this whip and anchor is very good for creating healthy boundaries, for creating a sense of security, and also for stabilizing you in the face of any challenge or any upsets or stress that you could be feeling. It's also a really good message for continuing with what you're doing. And we see this with the tree, honestly, and the other elements here. So you're on the right track. I would say maybe be a bit more active about this instead of being too passive. So balance out, your involvement with your enthusiasm and stick with what you're doing. And also you could be of support to others. So if others are going through some challenges, it's like you're supporting them. You could be even a backbone. Now here's a really nice line, the fish, tree, and moon. These are lovely cards. They're great for wealth, abundance, growth, progress, and also a sense of empowerment. So the fish is the main card of money. And it represents prosperity in a broader sense. And by extension, it's associated with your work, your income, your business, or any other activity that could support your finances in one way or another. And the thing about the tree and moon is that this definitely represents growth. So the tree is about blooming in and of itself. And the moon is a gentle card of attraction. And also it could be a card of work and vocation, or even your passions. And when we see these two together, clearly you're in a growth phase. So the money is looking good, prosperity is looking good, and by extension, your work or your activity, your productivity in general is looking really nice here. The rider with the clouds and lily, the clouds is a little bit challenging. It's not like the whip. It's about confusion and tension, and things could be a bit clouded or not clear. But the rider and lily suggests that you want to deal with this. So again, we're seeing these proactive cards, and you want to figure things out. Now, what are the things that you're figuring out? I really think it has to do with what the lily's suggesting. Lily typically suggests your life path, your lifestyle, your work, or your direction in general. So these are really great cards for aligning with your goals, Capricorn, and streamlining things. So if you are feeling a little bit all over the place, this is a really good time to bring it together, to consolidate, and to have more clarity. And this is going to be part of what grows your sense of stability, security, and by extension, your prosperity. Now, the whip with the fish and rider, this can represent some financial struggles or financial difficulty. It could also represent an expense and things like that. But the fish and rider is quite good because it suggests income and progress with your finances. So this line is telling us that you could be rectifying some of your financial difficulties, and this could be a focus for you. And you want to maintain discipline, and you want to, improve your ways around this. Now, it doesn't have to be strictly about money. It could be about things around that, more practical things in your life. And this is all part of streamlining to align with your goals. The anchor with the tree and clouds, this has quite a lot of similarities with the top row, where we saw the whip, which could cause some challenges about your investment or what you're connected with or the people you're connected with. And we see a similar energy here where the anchor and tree, both very solid, are a little bit upset by the clouds, which suggests doubts and things like that. So you could be having thoughts about who and what you're invested in, and you could be assessing a little bit the situation and thinking about how you move forward. So again, thinking about this and clarifying your thoughts and intentions is going to be really key. The ring with the moon and lily, this is lovely for wonderful relationships. It aligns really well with the garden and key and heart. The lily can suggest your professional environment, a health-related situation, or just your life in general and the kind of energy that you bring into it through your relationships and involvements. So these are great cards for security and connection, security in what you're doing, and it ties in with a lot of other cards, actually, the top row and the two diagonals and the middle row. So it's all coming together. In another sense, this could be a straight out work offer or some kind of invitation or opportunity that involves your finances and it's looking pretty good. So when we connect these lines that T-cross each other, we see that it results in a very good supportive connection, offer, or even the engagement itself. So overall, Capricorn, this is a really nice month. There are a few bumps, but they're not huge deals. They also involve your sense of understanding and commitment about what you're invested in. And the portrait in general is very supportive of your sense of growth, security, and prosperity, your sense of connection and engagement, and just really being part of a state that is growing in a positive way. You could also get great offers, great opportunities, and making some adjustments in relation to this, but landing in a really good situation. So a beautiful set of cards, Capricorn. I certainly see it this way. I hope you resonate with them as well in this way. Let me know what you make of it. As always, I look forward to your comments. And again, Capricorn, don't forget to watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your Astro Clock journal so that you align with the year from the get-go. Very best of luck. Thank you as always for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello Aquarius, welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I'm so excited to be kicking off this new cycle with you. And if you didn't watch your 2026 Astro Clock, I encourage you to watch it and to download your Astro Clock journal so that you align with the year from the get-go. So welcome Aquarius. Let's get into your January forecast. We've got the House, Tower, and Sun. These are the three cards for January from your Astro Clock. Now the Sun being the brightest card or one of the brightest cards of the deck, it really shines its light on this triplet, and it's also going to shine its light on the portrait we're going to do. The House and Tower can represent a couple of things. They can represent a place from the past, a home from the past. They can also represent family or your roots, and it can also represent something like an office or some kind of government office or at work or some important kind of place, like a building, important building or a corporation, and places like that. And the Sun here shining its light suggests that you have a wonderful connection with this place, these people, or this environment, that there are very good outcomes, that things move forward in the way that you desire. And it could also be a message of improvements across the board. It could be something like a promotion or enhancing your space or feeling really connected and aligned with your goals. And it's also a really good combination for building on top of solid foundations and growing in the right direction. So the Sun makes this otherwise neutral pair a very bright message, and it applies in all sorts of different contexts. So we're going to set these cards aside, and we are going to draw your portrait cards, see what else we get about these three, and what other messages we get for your month. Okay, Aquarius, here is your portrait, and it's quite interesting. It adds additional dimensions to your three cards here. There are a couple of cards that appear to be challenging, especially the Scythe and Coffin, but what I'm seeing is a successful completion, and this is where we see this top and the peak through the Tower. So you're in for a successful completion and you're able to move on. You achieve your goal and you move on. And what also supports this is the Bear. So the Bear is a card of power. It's a card of authority, and it has a lot of parallels with the Tower, except it's more gutsy. And so seeing the Bear in the center clearly suggests that you are up to something, that you're going to grow. You could get some kind of promotion or an improvement, like you step into a space of power. So that is really exciting. Now, the Mouse as your cover card tells us that you could be a bit anxious about this, and it's also a good card to focus on the details. And it's also a suggestion almost always to focus on the little issues as they come up and to prevent them from growing into something bigger. Now, when we look at the first diagonal, this may well be a message coming through. So you're able to bring things under control while you can handle them, while they are small, and you're able to put an ending to anything that could be going out of control because we have the coffin at the end. So that by itself is a really great message. Another message that comes through here is that you are going through a significant ending. And this is where we see the peak and that you've achieved something important. The bear suggests that it's something important. The bear makes everything important and big. So with the bear and coffin, you could be reaching a major ending. Now it's possible because of the mouse and bear that you're quite tired of this. It might have taken quite a bit of effort, but you're at the finish line, Aquarius, and you're gonna achieve your goal. The woman with the bear and heart is lovely. This is a very supportive person. She could be even a mother because the bear classically represents the mother and actually the house, the father. So maybe parents are coming into the picture. That's also what we could be seeing with the tower. But if not, she's still a very supportive woman. She's also quite powerful, so she's got your back and you could probably rely on her. It's also possible, Aquarius, that you're the one who is that power figure and able to offer support out of your space of strength. So really nice cards here for a supportive connection. Now, the mouse with the bird and heart here is a little bit challenging because we're seeing anxiety, nervousness coming through. We have the heart, which is a card of feelings, and both the mouse and bird can point to some kind of nervousness or anxiety. So it wouldn't surprise me, Aquarius, that maybe you're feeling nervous about the growth and the step up that you're about to achieve, the completion that is ahead, and this anticipation of wrapping something up and, growing out of it. Another way we can look at this triplet here is a conversation. So the conversation here can be potentially challenging. It can cause you a bit of nervousness. And I think the conversation is about this ending. So when we T-cross the top, middle, and bottom row, we see that we are looking at a sharp separation. So the bird and bear and scythe, this is a significant change, Aquarius. This is a really sharp break. And the bird can mean that you're having a conversation about this or negotiating it, and it can also suggest this nervousness about it. But the bear and scythe brings an element of decisiveness that is really strong, that is going to empower you to draw a sharp line. And when we T-cross this with the bottom row, we've got the woman, scythe, and a coffin. So this is a very clear ending and separation. Now, who the woman is in this line, potentially the same one as in this line or the other lines, but she could also be someone different, and she could also represent you. The idea is that there is a sharp change and a sharp ending. So again, we're seeing this element of completion and elevation that results from this, and empowerment. And part of this is that you have to draw a line, you have to communicate this, and you have to bring things to a close. So again, this could be a successful completion. Maybe this is someone you'd been working for, or you had a collaboration with this person, or you had other connections, involvements with her, and you're bringing things to a completion in view of your success. Now, the mouse with the key and woman clearly points to another positive message around this person. Clearly, she brings answers, opens doors, unlocks potential. So overcome any anxiety you have, Aquarius, and reach out, be in touch with these supportive people or supportive person who's going to bring you answers and enable you to embrace this ending and move up. And the key is great because it brings answers, solutions, it opens doors, it brings out potential. And as a relationship or a person, it's someone who helps with all of this, or, outright delivers them. So a great connection here. Just really get out of any nervousness, Aquarius, because you're in for big steps, and I can't blame you. It could be a bit nerve-wracking. Now the key T-crosses with the middle row. We have another power triplet here. Again, the bear, nice and strong. We've got the house as we have it in the Astro Clock cards. And the bear and house can represent the parents or these bigger people, people of influence in your life. And clearly you've got their support. The key opens up opportunities, delivers answers and solutions, like we said. And also, Aquarius, you could be in for a promotion, like you could be a boss, or you could step up to something important. You could take on more responsibilities. You could embrace an exciting project and do big things like that for you. And this is a great line to align with the Astro Clock cards. So a really nice set of cards here. And to wrap it up, we've got the house T crossing with the right-hand side column where we have the house and coffin, again, suggesting an ending, a move, or a letting go. With the heart, maybe you leave with a bit of a heavy heart. You know, maybe there's a bit of nostalgia here, or again, this nervousness, but it's time to wrap it up, Aquarius, and to move up to something more exciting. You could be attached, you could be attached to this phase or to the people in this phase or in this situation, but the cards are clear. There's more important stuff happening. There's the next level that's opening up, and you need to step into it and grow into the next phase. So a powerful moment, I would say, Aquarius. This is quite a handful. And there's also a lot of, well, not a lot, but quite a few different layers happening at the same time. The changes, the relationship, the endings, the preparation for the next phase, the nervousness that comes with all of that. It could be quite loaded, but you're definitely like morphing into a bigger you, more important stuff coming up, and a step up across the board or in any context. And speaking of context, this could apply in different situations, in different areas. It's great for relationships where you're being focused and focusing on empowering connections. It's great for your work or your day-to-day activity or how you're productive. Clearly here, we're seeing more responsibility and opportunity. And even in your life as a whole, or even where you live, we're seeing big changes. So embrace this, Aquarius. Get ready for the next phase. And I have to say, it's an exciting way to kick off the year, to say the least. So leave me a comment. I hope you resonate with this in a positive way and overcome your nervousness, if any, Aquarius. Leave me a comment or two. I look forward to reading them every time. And again, Aquarius, don't forget to watch your 2026 Astro Clock and download your journal so we align with the year from the get-go. Very best of luck. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Pisces. Welcome to your January 2026 forecast. I'm so excited to be starting this cycle with you again. I hope you watched your 2026 Astro Clock and you downloaded your Astro Clock journal, because our monthly forecasts are going to be aligned with that. And I wish for you to be aligned with your year from the get-go. So welcome again, Pisces. Let's get into January. We have your 3 cards for January from your Astro Clock. And these are neutral cards, but actually coming together like this, they're quite exciting because they point to some important news that could come pretty quickly within January. And the ring here points to a contract or an agreement or some kind of understanding here that brings you into connection with someone or something. So the ring and book, the ring and letter, point to contracts and connections, and the book and letter point to very important news. And each of them on their own suggest information and contact or communication, although the book by itself is usually on the quieter side. But in this combination, it's very much about a contract or an agreement or some kind of contact and communication that brings you into a connection. So this could be quite exciting. Here's the bear popping out of our deck, and it's pointing to something important. So that doesn't surprise me, because these 3 cards and these 2 are also quite about a sense of importance. So it sounds like you're going to be getting into an important situation. It could be work related. It could be something else. So let's put these cards aside. Let's draw your portrait and let's see what else we get about these 3 and other messages for your month. Okay, Pisces, here is your portrait, and it's looking a little bit challenging, but the challenges are not because of like upsets and things like that. They're challenges because this could really turn your life around. you could be in for some serious adjustments. I'm thinking travel, moves, big deals, big contracts, and things like that. We've got the letter at the top here, which aligns very well with your Astro Clock cards. And the letter as your cover card can mean that you send out the message, but in this case, I have to make an exception and allow for maybe you receive the message, because we have the bird in here and we have these, these three cards. The fox is in the middle. The fox can be tricky. It can be a deceptive character. It could be someone difficult or a selfish type. And we have the snake and bird in this column, so it could bring out such a person. But the fox is also a card of jobs, employment, projects, and a kind of routine that you could be getting into. So seeing it in the center, this is definitely in focus, and in view of the offer cards and the lily, as we're going to see in a bit, you could get a job, you could get a project, you could land on some kind of involvement that's going to get you really busy, Pisces. Now, with the fox and whip here, we have a challenging message. This could be turning down an offer or moving away from what you're doing or challenging someone and confronting them. So all of these could be happening, but what I also see is that this news could create some kind of urgency in your life, and it could cause a move or big changes and important adjustments. Now, the anchor with the fox and child is actually a really bright combination. It's not like the sun and clover in these cards, but it's a really solid combination. First off, there's a new beginning that's definitely in the cards with the child. And the anchor really creates a sense of certainty and encourages you to move into this new beginning. And the fox tells us what this beginning is about. So it could be this job, this project, or this new situation that you're getting into. So like I said, the fox does not just mean someone who's like that, who's two-faced and those sorts of types. But it is also a card of discipline and jobs and projects and getting things done. So you're definitely moving into a phase of productivity and a new job or a new situation that involves your attention this way. Now, the letter with the snake and child. Here, the snake brings an element of secrecy, but also it highlights the need to be careful about what you're signing off on. Okay, so this is going to be very, very important, Pisces. Be careful, read the fine print all the time across the board. The snake is also a card of secrets. So it tells us that you might want to keep this news to yourself, or you might want to act on it cautiously. And also when you turn away into this new beginning, you need to do this quietly and carefully, at least for some time. So a lot is going on. You want to absorb it first. You want to do your due diligence before you tell everyone around you about it and things like that. So test the waters and make sure you take care of all of the details. Now the middle column, middle row, we've got the fox and lily figuring together, and this could really bring up the job in a direct way. And it also points to your career in a broader way, or it could be your activity or how you're productive in different contexts. The mountain can suggest either an obstacle or a place in another location. So as an obstacle, we see that you overcome it and that you kick off into this new beginning. So this blockage or things being slow or being held back and all of these, blockage kind of obstacle card situations are going to be overcome. This certainly comes through with the whip. We'll look at this in a bit. And like I said, the mountain is also a card of distant locations. So you could be moving, or you could get a job or this exciting project in another location. It could also be online. The people you're working with could be in another place. So this is going to be part of this bigger adjustment and this exciting new beginning that is ahead. So you could land a job, you could land a project, you could definitely make progress into this new beginning. Now, the bottom row is also a little bit challenging. We have the bird and whip. The bird and whip can be a difficult conversation or a confrontation or even an argument. But the anchor earlier, Pisces, really helps you stand your ground. And I might even say that you need to have that conversation. You could be moving away. You could be breaking off. You could say goodbye. This new beginning is going to pull you out of your current situation. and it might not be the easiest of transitions. So you need to draw the line with anyone who's involved with this. You need to make a point that you're going to embrace this new beginning. And again, it could be a stressful time. It sounds like it comes as in something urgent. It's a big deal. It can involve big changes. And like we saw here, it's an important investment and commitment for you. Now, the letter with the mountain and anchor, this again can suggest having a foothold abroad, that you're anchored abroad, based abroad, or this connection that you have with this project. And so you're going to need to, be in touch and to create that foundation over there. Now, the snake and bird on either side of the fox, this is potentially challenging, Pisces. This could be difficulty having these conversations. Achieving transparency, I think, could be an issue. And getting people to accept that you're going to make a change. And also, it could affect your overall adjustment and the nervousness that comes with that. The more clarity you can have, the better. The child and lily clearly points to this new phase that you're getting into. And the whip again brings up challenges. So again, we're seeing this is not an easy adjustment. It could be a really big deal and it could feel quite urgent. Now, it is also possible, Pisces, that you turn down the offer altogether. But I think because of the significance of this triplet, I think it's more like having options or choices as opposed to just one thing that comes up that you turn down, because we have first these three powerful cards, but also a clear message of moving into a new beginning. So making a choice could be tough. The transition could be tough, and making the move and getting started in this new phase can also be challenging. So it could be a bit of a turbulent month, Pisces, where you are adjusting to a new beginning. So you could be moving into this new year with a lot on your plate and the need to be agile and to be able to adjust. You could also be dealing with different people or other parties that could be potentially working against you or just giving you headaches and a hard time. So we're seeing here in the month, we're seeing the transition more than anything else. And we're seeing this adjustment to a new phase, a new situation. It could be a new job, a new career, a new lifestyle in general. And you could be making some big decisions, Pisces. So I can't say this is easy, but I can say that it's on the other side of this, there's quite a lot of potential because it's looking quite significant. And it seems to involve more than just making a change. It sounds like there's a bit more here. It sounds like a transformation is possible for you. Travel is possible. It might apply to some of you, and that too could be part of the major adjustment. So quite a handful, I have to say, Pisces. I really look forward to your thoughts about this and what you make of it, and also what this offer, this news, this involvement was about. Was it work related or some other project? Why is this fresh start so turbulent? Is it urgent, or, what kind of changes and adjustments does it involve for you? I'd be really interested to know if you're willing to share. Very best of luck again, Pisces. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself.